Okay, so after you have spent a couple weeks on NVF and you have the anchor chart for that up there, and you've gone over some other anchor charts as far as topic sentences, then you're ready for your first modeling of the informational performance task. So you're going to go through probably 3 or 4 informational performance tasks with the class, and each time you're going to slowly release them, give them a little more responsibility. But the very first time through, I mean, this is the first writing performance task of the entire year. So I definitely go very slowly on this. Some teachers will do this in a week. I actually take almost 2 weeks with my class the first time through. So what I do with them is I will go ahead and read the task to them, and I will continuously point out that I am doing what they should be doing when they have their performance task. So I'll read the directions to them. I will carefully point out what they're going to be writing about. So it says you become interested in learning more about the development of the Neanderthal people. So I'm constantly reminding them to go back and check the task or the writing prompt, and that they are very specific about the prompt and how they're writing to it. So this prompt is not about tell us about Neanderthal people, it's about the development of the Neanderthal people. So I'm always mentioning that to them throughout the entire process. So after I read the task and the directions, then I will go ahead and read through the sources with them. And I will not be stopping along the way and pointing anything out at this point. Simply going through and reading the information, because I tell them that first time they read through the sources, they are just reading. They're just reading to become familiar with the text. The next time through is when they will go ahead and start taking notes. So after I read through the 3 sources, in this case, 3 sources with them, I'll go back and start modeling how I pull notes out of the text. And I will be very specific about how I want them to take notes, and about looking for keywords and verbs, and not copying complete sentences down. So teach them right away about not plagiarizing and just taking notes and writing kind of in Tarzan talk, so that they can turn that into their own sentences later. And so what I'll do is, a lot of teachers will model taking notes under the FlexCam. I did that in this case. That's why you can see my sloppy writing. And what I like to do is like to have the students group the information by source. As you can see here, source 1, 2, and 3. And in addition to that, for under each source, if you notice these numbers in parentheses, when they write down information, I have them note which paragraph they found the information in. That makes it just that much easier for them. Once we get into the writing process, they can go back and if they quote information, they'll be able to identify the source number and paragraph number where they found that information. So I'll do this with them. I'll write down the notes. I'll explain, from time to time why I wrote down certain notes. But in this case, again, we're just modeling. So kids will be just watching this. So after I model taking the notes, then it's time to actually do our pre-write. And that's where I go through each section of notes, and I'm going to come up with, in this case, I'm going to come up with 3 main categories, or yellows, for our step up to writing that I can sort my information into. And so here's my diagram for the pre-write for Neanderthal development, my graphic organizer. So again, 3 sources here doesn't mean I explained to them, doesn't mean you have to use all 3, but in this case, there are 3 ways that Neanderthals developed. And so I take all that information from the notes, and I go ahead and categorize it, and then pull my evidence and put it under the correct heading here. And I'll do this with the class, and I'll explain to them why I'm putting them into these categories. But this is what you want to end up with is as a pre-write, and they can take this and move on to the next step once they finish this.